Cool. Awesome. So the session is being recorded. So just in case someone misses it, they'll be able to still get it. Otherwise, let's get started, guys. But I'm looking at the DXY as I'm talking now, and I'm seeing how the dollar was just eaten last week. The last week was just about eating this dollar. But otherwise, let's get into some AC. Guys, all the pairs, I guess you see all of that dollar weakness was what we needed. Any pair just needed to be a little bit less weaker than the dollar, and it would have moved up last week. Like the dollar was that weak over the space of last week. But otherwise, AC. I don't want to feel like we missed the trading opportunity, because there is still, you guys know that markets don't move in one I guess movement. We have an impulse, and after every impulse there has to be a correction. So let's not cry and say that we lost this. We thought, and I told you guys last week that market did this the last time. Market did do this the last time, where we came down correct, or at least we can say we started moving up in some sort of a corrective manner. But even though we moved up correctively, there was still enough momentum behind this corrective movement to actually break and give us a new higher high. And we said that this is freaky stuff. Yes, freaky stuff. It's not giving us the momentum. But fact that it's not giving us the momentum moving up doesn't mean we can't come up and give us a new higher high, because clearly we saw that happen the last time. So we're learning. I guess it's nice. It's nice to look at the environment, and you I guess you just adjust. We're not saying change your trading strategy or whatever the case is, but just for your own competence to understand what environment you're trading in. But let's just go back up to the daily, talk about AC on the daily, and then we'll go back down to the 4-hour, find those POIs, and then we'll move on to the next pair. But otherwise, AC, so simple enough, we've got momentum here. We want to trade in the direction of this momentum. We've got a corrective structure, obviously confirming the fact that the momentum is to the upside. This momentum did manage to break a level of structure. So obviously what we're expecting, since we got our first new higher high break above this structure, we're not expecting price action to break below this low, because we're assuming that, okay, maybe this is, maybe this momentum is the beginning of a new trend. And since we've got our first higher high, we're obviously expecting a higher low and a higher high, and obviously uptrend characteristics. So nonetheless, what we've got here going on, most recent price action. So what we planned last week was, we did plan obviously to give this a little bit of patience, because we had corrective price action, just in case we wanted to come down for some sort of a double bottom. Then we would be ready to take action in that case. And maybe if the double bottom didn't work, maybe we were coming down to give us a proper good third touch of this structure at a POI that we obviously analyzed and isolated on a 4-hour. This would have been the best type of setup for us, optimal trade entry. Does this mean that this is out of I guess the question? Probably not now. I think I still do want to hold this plan. I still do want to just keep my analysis the exact same way. Keep in mind that, okay, price action can, if it does want to, it can still come back down and tap a little bit deeper into this zone. The reason why we have this red line over here is because when we were speaking about this last week, we did say that price did tap into this demand area over here. Yes, we did tap. Is this tap enough to send price action up and give us a new higher high? We have no idea, but what we can do is obviously be reactive to the price action, and we wait to see. What we're not trying to do is, we're not trying to say market, or when we're doing analysis, we're not trying to predict, okay, market's going to go up, okay, market's going to go down, because that's a game that we'll obviously lose. No one knows what the market is going to do unless you have a ridiculous amount of money and you're able to move the market with the amount of money that you have, which I'm sure we're all not in that situation. So since we're not in that situation, we give up on trying to predict whether market is going to go up or whether market is going to go down. But what we're doing is, we do analysis and we plan, we create plans that if the market does go up, then this is the best entry, or this is the best place for me to be able to capitalize on this move up. If the market does go down, then obviously we look at where we are, all of the things, context, at resistance, all the case. We add things together and say, if market does go down, then this is the best place, or best place where I can find the probabilities and the whatevers to be able to obviously take a risk and then make something from the risk that I'm taking. But otherwise, let's get back to AC. So nonetheless, we're still bullish bias, because we want to trade in direction of this momentum. 4-hour structure, obviously on a 4-hour, we're looking for those points of interest. Very interesting stuff is going on over here. I don't like what's happening over here, but we'll wait and see when we do look at this market on Monday. Does price action continue and give us a new higher high, or whatever the case is? That will be nice. I won't say best case scenario, but that will be nice, because if price action does break and give us a new higher high, then we will exercise less patience, because what that does is that makes this demand, we can see that there's a momentum shift here. There's a bullish engulfing that happened over here. If we do break above this high and give a new higher high, then that validates this demand. Obviously, we wait, exercise patience, and if price comes back to retest this area, we've got a demand that aligns with if we're ever looking for a break and a retest of this resistance trend line, then we've got something that validates and gives us reason to want to take action in this area over here. So far, we don't have all of that information. This would be very nice for us not to exercise a lot of patience. But otherwise, let's work with what we have. What we have is we've got the fact that price action has not given us a new higher high. The last move that we have is this move to the downside that did manage to break a level of structure and give us a new lower low. So as long as we're inside of this move on a 4-hour, this is still a seller's market. So we can't be all hoo-ha and try and take risk entries on our buys. That's the reason why we exercise patience, because we understood that we're still inside a seller's market. As much as looking for that buy, obviously this was the best place, or anywhere inside of these support areas was the best place for us to look for that buy. Market, unfortunately, or nature's theory just didn't allow us. Sure. Nature's theory obviously just didn't allow us to be able to take that trade. Nonetheless, let's work with what we have. And what we have is we've got price action obviously still stuck inside of the seller's market. The fact that we're still stuck inside of the seller's market, the best thing that we can do is try and look to buy as low as possible. Now, the safest thing that I see for us here is we've got momentum, right? We've got this here. We've got some sign that, okay, someone in between this price region and where price action is right now was willing to buy and was willing to buy aggressively. We don't care whether it's the dollar weakness or CAD weakness in this case. We've been waiting for CAD weakness for so long. But CAD weakness in this case, we have no idea what's going on. We just analyze, we make our decisions based off what we see. So otherwise, we can see that there's a whole lot of bias inside of here. We've got this area, we'll just highlight over there. We've got this area that does function as a nice momentum shift, obviously, for us to look for some continuation trades. Do we have other reasons to want to trade inside of here? Yes, maybe we can say that there's a break and a retest. This is the last resistance that price broke above impulsively. And at a later date in time, if we've got some corrective price action, yes, will I take the trade inside of here? Yes, we can take the trade inside of it. Obviously, this is not our best case scenario. Our best case scenario is if we see price action breaking above this resistance, whether we come back to this POI or whether we come back lower. If we give a new higher high, that gives us characteristics of an uptrend. And obviously, what are we expecting? Once we get a new higher high, we're not expecting price action to want to come back and break below this low. So it's then safer for us to trade anywhere inside of, which is this going to be now our next impulsive move. So now that we've spoken about AC, we've got two scenarios. Obviously, this is the only scenario that we can work with now. We've got a plan that if price action does break our resistance, then we will be able to trade inside of here. So otherwise, let's wait and see. Do we get an opportunity to ride the AC wave to the upside? I would like to. I would like to. So AJ, we're not going to speak about AJ because there's still pretty much nothing on AJ. I have my analysis the same as it has been all this time, and I'm just exercising patience, waiting for things to change. And once there's probabilities that align with obviously the way that we're trading, the things that we're expecting to see, then we'll speak about AJ again. But for now, nothing interesting there. Let's just move on, not waste time. So AU, if you guys remember, we discussed a couple of plans on AU. We were trying to be aggressive inside of here, and then at the same time, we were going to exercise a little bit of patience to wait for price action to come down lower. Now, if you guys remember, the aggressive plan that we had was we needed to wait and see price action break above this resistance over here before we could trade inside of this momentum shift over here for us to obviously try and ride the wave to the upside. Now you guys can see market was doing her own thing. She didn't come and give us a new higher high. Instead, we broke structure over here. And after we broke structure here, this momentum shift that we have, price action almost came into, but didn't quite tap into that momentum shift. That momentum shift, price action never came back. We just ran away. We're still going. We're gone. So yeah, she wasn't ready last week, but hopefully she will play our game this week. It happens. We can't catch everything. And that's also another thing that I always tell you guys, that our job is not to catch every single up, every single down in the market. Our job is to find where the probabilities are. If the market doesn't do what we expected it to do, which was break resistance first, then tap into this POI, and then we take the trade to the upside. If the market doesn't do that, what that means to me is that whatever environment is then playing out, whatever environment I think I want to trade inside of here, is not the kind of environment that my strategy works in. I must take the fact that the market is not doing what I want it to do. It's a sign. And then I sit on my hands because I don't know what the probability is. If I do take this trade, out of 10, how many of these types of trades will I win? I have no idea. We don't have experiential knowledge. We don't have any backtest data. So otherwise, yeah. So AU, what's the next plan in AU? What's the next plan in AU? So we're kind of close to this resistance over here. We haven't given, or we haven't broken above this resistance to give a new higher high. But what I still want to do is, if I want to be a buyer, I still want to try and buy as low as possible. That being said, the new places, I guess, that we can try and take a buy from is if we do first create a new higher high, then we will try and trade inside of this momentum shift. Only if we break this resistance do we then try and trade inside of here. Since we haven't broken this resistance, and obviously that's our future plans, obviously the safest place for us to then look for upside continuation is inside of here. If price action does correct and we don't break this resistance, we do correct to the downside, I will be able to try and find a trading opportunity inside of here to try and find continuation to the upside. Hopefully the dollar is still going to be eaten and we keep going down, because we want to see, we don't have any resistance on this structure, because someone would force resistance there. Another person would say, oh, we already broke the structure over here. So since there's a whole lot of confusion with the resistance trend line, there is no resistance trend line there. We'll just work with horizontal support and resistance, or resistance rather, since we already have our supports there. But otherwise, AU, we're nice and bullish. Let's go into some New Zealand dollar CAD. Someone sent a picture of AUDCAD in the, no, not AUDCAD, USDCAD in the group. And USDCAD looks exactly splitting image, deceleration, momentum to the upside, deceleration. And I think USDCAD, that setup looks like it's somewhere stuck somewhere here. That's why I was like, it looks like the exact same thing that's happening on New Zealand dollar CAD, but except it's behind a little bit. So yeah, hey, some nice correlation there. Thanks for sending the setups. Thanks for sending the setups, because it exposes me to stuff that I don't always look at, pairs like USD CAD and whatever, all these other extra stuff. I kind of focus on these pairs, and then I look at whatever pairs the fundamentals force me to look at, I'll look at those pairs. But to just look at something like USD CAD, I would never do that. So thanks for sending your guys' setups, because I get to see what's happening around the around the trading space. But otherwise, New Zealand dollar CAD, higher time frame. Safe to say we missed this trade. I think for me last week, this was the only trade, or the only setup that was that I can say I probably maybe missed it. As much as we didn't really tap into where we expected it, I feel like I could have traded it inside of here. I'll blame a little bit of load shedding, and I'll blame a little bit of myself. But I feel like this one I could have had it, but we missed it. But anyway, it's fine. It's fine. But otherwise, we've got some upside momentum. We've got a corrective structure. We want to trade in the direction of this beautiful momentum. So we want to be bullish on a higher time frame. If we just look at the most recent price action, we're correcting to the downside. So yes, lower lows, lower highs, but we're doing so in a corrective manner. So there's no momentum going down. So obviously we know we can, that doesn't mean that we can't sell. That just means that if we sell, we're going to wait longer than if we buy, because the momentum is to the upside. Cool. So otherwise, just looking at it daily, we can see that we've broken above this resistance area over here. So that now then gives us, it opens up opportunities inside of this new momentum here that managed to break this resistance here when we drop down onto a 4-hour. So it does just give us a little bit of other opportunities, but would I exercise? No, I don't think I'll wait for price action to come back to these POIs here. Let's just even delete them, because I don't think price will come back down there. If we do come back, maybe break in a retest type of a thing, because this is a lot of momentum. And the last time if you guys remember, the last time we were forecasting, I don't know how long we were forecasting this market from. I think we had this deceleration, and this was like optimal entry in this whole thing that we've been doing and following. This was the optimal entry, and we were exercising patience, waiting for a deep pullback, and price just kept on going. I think I'm still just a little bit salty about this momentum. Price did not stop. After all the effort of forecasting, we didn't make any money on this momentum. So let's not do the same thing that we did the last time. Let's not wait for those deep pullbacks. If market wants to give us something like this to get in, tapping into something small or whatever the case is, let's try it. So New Zealand dollar CAD, maybe exercise a little bit less patience than we would like to, but otherwise let's just do the analysis the way that we would do it normally, just so that we know what we're focused on. So otherwise, let's delete this stuff here. So otherwise, remember this new move up to the upside that managed to break this resistance area over here. Obviously, this is the momentum shift that we want to be trading at. So let's just go and do this on a 4-hour. So that's obviously the best place where we've got the best probabilities, best risk to reward ratio, best place to put stops for a move to the upside. So all we're doing, New Zealand dollar CAD, since we in the momentum, we don't want to catch the bus while it's moving. We wait for it to stop or to slow down. Once it stops at the next station, we jump on, and then obviously we're looking for the next move to the upside. So simple enough. New Zealand dollar CAD, we're bullish. If you guys want to call it a break and a retest, it's a break and a retest, whatever. But we've got momentum. We're waiting for a corrective structure. Here's the best place for us to find an entry. We're bullish. Let's go on to some New Zealand dollar yen. I think New Zealand dollar yen is shaping up very nicely, very nicely. I'm just a little bit worried. I'm a little bit worried that all of this dollar weakness. Here's the thing, right? There's two majors, right? New Zealand dollar is a major, and then obviously yen is a major. There's two majors. So obviously, if the dollar is losing a whole lot of strength, that means that the real war that's happening here is really going to just depend on whether New Zealand dollar is going to be stronger or weaker, or the yen is going to be stronger or weaker. And it's very confusing right now, because I think I can see some money flowing into the yen again, which should have happened, by the way, like 2 or 3 months ago. This market is super confusing, but it's fine because it's teaching us how to adapt and change. Like if we're not focused on the current environment, then we're never going to learn. Like the fact that maybe we don't understand what's going on is maybe even just a good thing, because that means we're focused, we're trying, we're making an effort to understand something. In the future, we'll have the experience of adaptation. How do I as a trader find out how the environment has changed to be able to make a new decision? Even if you don't make money in this environment, let that be the skill that's going to carry you tomorrow, because that's always what you're trying to do. You're always trying to set yourself up for the next day, because today is not the only day you're going to live. And that's how a lot of us think when we're trading. It's like, I'm just trading for just today. This one trade is all that matters. But yeah, New Zealand dollar yen. So anyway, if we just look at the price action, look at the context, right? We're at resistance, multi-touch structure. We got a deceleration at this multi-touch structure over there. After the deceleration, we've got a break, obviously sellers, and then we've got breaks of structure to the downside. So we've got characteristics, or the first move that's managed to break structure to the downside, giving us, we're at resistance, we're seeing sellers coming into the market. We're seeing what we want to see, where we want to see it. Otherwise, we're bearish. Going down onto a 4-hour, we're looking for those POIs or momentum shifts to be able to find areas to trade. And if you guys remember from last week, where was it? Was it this one up here? Price is right there. That's so uncomfortable. Price is right there. Let's see what happens. Because even if price maybe doesn't react from here, if we do react from here, then we'll have to make another plan and see, maybe there's something else for us to be able to get into the momentum inside. Or we'll see if we do react from here, then it is what it is. We'll adjust. But otherwise, if we don't react from here and we push higher, then it's still fine. It's still fine. Why am I saying that? Because we've got this level of structure over here, this resistance that price action broke above and broke below. And obviously at a future date in time, we can come back to retest, be it the head and shoulders, double top, whatever, we can come back to retest this level of structure, obviously, and we'll see. If we retest with a structure, then it makes it easier for us to make a decision. If there is no structure, then all we wait for is momentum in our direction, and we wait for that corrective structure to be able to find an entry in the direction of this momentum that we see. So nonetheless, I am bearish on New Zealand dollar yen. We'll see how New Zealand dollar yen enables us to find an entry if we do. But I'm very, 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 very going to be cautious and wait for structures to form. Chart patterns will be the indication. This is a lot of buyers. We don't want to sell into an obvious fact that there's someone willing to buy. We don't know if it's done. We don't know if the market will stop and just keep going or what's going to happen, because it happened before where we saw a whole lot of sellers and then obviously market comes back and still breaks that high. Who's to say it can't happen again? So let's just be safe. We look for the structures and we trade where the chart patterns give us entries. Done and dusted. New Zealand dollar yen, we're bearish. Otherwise, I think US30 and NASDAQ, maybe we'll speak about them when we're done, because like last week, we're gonna take it day by day. Let me just see what's going on in the chats there before. Our banks love the way you explain it, man. Bless, bro. Okay, I see Miranda there in the building. Funny enough, I've got a Miranda as a visitor today as well. See, Banks is saying change of character. Exactly what it is, a change of character. Change of character is extra English for a downtrend. When we first started learning these things, they told us that once we break a level of structure, if we find something that's consistently breaking these levels of structure, it's a downtrend. And then now we heard about order flow, we've heard about all these different Englishes that they're adding to the same thing. Whether you understand it as an uptrend and a downtrend or something that's more complicated, you're still going to trade it the exact same way. I guess the decision at the end that you're going to make is going to be the exact same, because at the end, it's still going to tell you whether market is going up, whether the money is deciding to take market up or money is deciding to take market down. But otherwise, CAD yen. So CAD yen, the reason why we had this pair or the reason why it was on, why it was still red, is because we were still holding a position last week, and I think I closed out of that position. But let's still talk about it. Let's still talk about it and see what we can do. So in terms of structure, if we just look at the daily, there's nothing really for us to work with. But I can go down on a lower time frame and I can force stuff for us to work with. But let's just add some stuff on the daily that we see. If you guys remember from last week, I told you guys, or I taught you guys how I use momentum. Remember, like if we've got a bullish engulfing, right, there's a small candle and then we've got the momentum to the upside. If we're looking to trade bullish, obviously we're waiting for price action to come back into this momentum here, and then we're looking to trade to the upside. But if price action breaks this momentum here, obviously let's take a look at what's happening in terms of money. The fact that we've got a momentum shift, the fact that we were looking to trade inside of this momentum shift, means that we assumed that there was a big seller inside of here and a bigger buyer that sent prices up, obviously trapping the seller inside the market. This seller is in a negative, right? So obviously when price comes back down into here, this buyer is going to keep price action above, because the buyer has to obviously make money from someone, right? He's not going to let the seller make profit. So price will never go back below this. The fact that price action did break below here would obviously tell me that the momentum shift that I see here, the big buyer that was here, there's a bigger seller that's involved in what's going on here, because price action was able to break below this momentum shift here, where I assumed previously there was a buyer, right? Now, obviously, if I know that we assume that we trapped the seller inside of here, buyers took price action up from here, that means that now the war, or let's say the fight has flipped, right? Before, the buyer was controlling price and was keeping the seller from getting this market at the price that he wants, right? He was keeping price action above here so that he can send price action above. Now that we know that there's a bigger seller, remember, where did this buyer come in? This buyer came in at this same price region over here. So obviously, if there's a big seller, what is the seller going to want to do? The seller is not going to want price action, or the seller won't want price action to go above this region here. Why? Because in this region here, there was a big buyer. There was someone that saw buying interest in between this price value here. So obviously, if the seller is bigger, then he's probably not going to want to let price action go above this price here, and then we can find it down, a trade to the downside. So that's, if we look at things here on a daily, that's the whole concept of me trying to trade inside of this area here. Obviously, we've got momentum, trying to find a corrective structure to get continuation of this momentum. That's basically the logic of me trying to trade inside of here, trying to find an entry inside of here on a smaller time frame. Obviously, we drop down into the 4-hour and we find our momentum shifts or whatever the case is. But that's our logic of being bearish here with not a lot of information to be bearish. Because remember, I told you, you can be bearish, you can be bullish, doesn't matter. What matters is that, do you have a plan to find the probabilities to be able to take risk in that direction and be able to make something? If you take 10 trades or 10 times the risk, how many times will you get reward from taking that risk? That is what matters at the end of it all. So otherwise, let's drop down to 4. Before we go to the 4-hour, let's just delete all of this stuff here that we've got going on there we go, just so that it's clear when we drop down. Cool. Hey, I'm hearing 800,000 downstairs. Money talks. Anyways, so if you guys remember from a daily, right, that momentum shift or that whatever was this thing that's over here. So obviously, when we're looking to our right hand side, we're looking for momentum shifts that align with what we saw on a daily to give us the best, I guess, probabilities to be able to take that risk. Now, if we look on a 4-hour, obviously there's this last level of structure here that we broke below that can function as a level of a retest or whatever the case is, break and a retest. But we also do have a nice momentum shift here on a 4-hour that we can use to trade and find an opportunity at this somewhat break and a retest area. So obviously our job is a little bit simple. CAD, if price action obviously does come up here, we've got a resistance, we've got a point of interest, which makes our job a lot easier. All we're waiting for is for price action to break above this resistance, a reversal structure that terminates inside of here. And then obviously we're looking for downside momentum. If we miss the downside momentum, we wait for price action to break back below, retest, and then obviously we find continuation to the downside. So we've got a momentum shift. This is the best place to find the probabilities, I guess, at this point in time, since price action is still moving and we haven't really stopped to correct. Yeah, I'm out of this position. I'm 100% out of this position. I could not hold it any longer. 3 weeks was long enough. And the first week, guys, for one whole week, I entered somewhere inside of here. For one whole week, I was holding that position, seeing it go blue and seeing it go red for one entire week. My level of patience. But anyway, it was well worth it. Let's see the thing. I'm out of the trade, but I think TP was just a little bit lower. Oh, we drew a lot. Short position. Yeah, TP was a little bit low. I don't know why I was targeting so low. I think I should have been targeting this momentum shift here on a daily. Now that I look hindsight, this is probably where I should have targeted, because obviously this was the last demand that I've got here that sent price action above that managed to break a level of structure. So this was the place where I should have actually been targeting. But nonetheless, we did manage to get out of the trade here. And this was a nice trade. But don't look at this trade and say, oh, we only take winners, because here I'm looking at this right now and I'm realizing that this is not the first time I sold CAD yen. There's the last position that I tried. The last time I tried and I failed. Here's the previous time over here. I tried and I failed. Obviously, this time here, we were trading first touch, second touch. We were trading this third touch here. This time here, we were trading first touch, second touch. And then there was a deceleration. We thought market's going to stop here. We failed. And then there were tries. We obviously had to lose. There's no trading strategy or whatever that doesn't lose. But if you guys go back to what I said earlier, looking at this to see the actual trades that were taken, if you go back to what I said earlier, is that we don't know whether the market is going up, whether it's going down. It doesn't matter. People are making money in both directions at any point in time during the day, there's someone that bought and someone that sold, and they're both going to make money. So otherwise, what matters is, are you taking the trade at the best place to be able to manage your risk as best as possible? And if you do get this trade, will the reward be worth it? One trade minus, another trade minus, this trade made up for any other trade that I could have made inside of here, maybe even ones that I don't have marked on my chart. This trade could have made up for all of those ones. And that's the point, is that when I'm taking risk, am I taking risk in a place where I will realize the reward, and is it worth it for me? Are there probabilities behind that move? I'm not trying to catch every single up and down. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find areas of probability. But otherwise, I'm 100% done. I'm 100% done. US30 and NASDAQ, same thing as last week. These pairs are generally just moving sideways on a higher time frame. We can force any directional bias we would like to force on a smaller time frame. As you guys can see, I'm forcing my own structures here to try and make sense of things. But what I'd like to do, and what I suggested last week, I think I'll suggest it again, is that take these two pairs day by day. We go down on a 15-minute, we see who was in control for the day. Okay, Asian sellers were in control. Where's price action? Prices at Asian lows. Maybe I try and find us a spy of Asian lows, whatever the case is. We're either trying to find continuation of Asian momentum or reversal of Asian momentum in between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock in the morning, or in between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. It's either going to be a reversal of Asian momentum, or it's going to be continuation of Asian momentum in between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock, sorry, and 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. I said it twice so that I'm blessing someone, but otherwise, let's call it a session, guys. Let's call it a session. Let's call it a session. I'm 100% done. If there's no questions, because I see you guys are there in the chats. You guys are hella active today in the chats, and I love it because I feel like I'm talking to people. Otherwise, I see Elton's iPhone there, thumbs up. I see Banks, same way you explained it, thumbs up there, bro. Brandon is saying miss these sessions. Bless, bro, bless. Otherwise, if everyone is sorted, we'll see each other in the groups. Have an awesome weekend, guys, or the what's left of the weekend, and have a good trading week. Cheers, guys.